Hello everyone, the SMITE guide to Ymir. This is the Season 9 update for Ymir in Conquest, and there are a couple of things you should know. First off, this is a pretty good overall meta for Ymir because it's actually becoming okay to build a small amount of damage items on supports. Generally, I stick to one, possibly two. In most cases, I will, at the end of my build, I will grab Soul Reaver if the enemy team is tankier, or I will build Spear the Magus in most cases if the enemy team is squishier. Now, Ymir is a different case where if you actually want to, you can build Gilded Arrow on him for some early game damage, and evolve it into Diamond Arrow late game. And then the rest of your items are defensive, generally speaking. However, this particular team composition is a bit of a unusual scenario. We've got Ratatoskir as our solo, so we're going to see a little bit more damage out of Ratatoskir and not quite as much durability. Furthermore, we have Freya and Zeus, both of whom can actually pull off fairly impressive auto attacks. So now we actually have something of a decision here. We're actually going to be the chibi one to match Zeus. So now we have a bit of a decision here as Ymir. Do we want to go with Warflag and increase the auto attacks of Ratatoskir, Zeus, and Freya? Or do we want to go with Gilded Arrow and boost auto attack speed and see what happens with that? Now, I'm going to choose the Warflag, and there are a couple of very specific reasons for this. First off, like I said before, the Ratatoskir, while he can build as tanky, his default baseline of tankiness isn't as high, so I'm going to want to compensate for that. Right, now you also notice I have Tainted Steel here. If the enemy had Hel, Chang'e, Yamoja, I would probably build Tainted Steel just automatically, but that's not the case here. And then, of course, we have the physicals here, so you actually have two choices, but your best option now, even with the predominance of physical, is to go right into this, so you can pick up either a stage 2 blink or a stage 2 meditation. Now, in this particular context, usually the meditation is better. If you built, and that's what I'm going to go for here, if you built Gilded Arrow, meditation is a requirement. You would normally think, well, I'm building Gilded Arrow, I want to play more aggressively, so I should be going into Blink. That's incorrect. When you build Gilded Arrow, you're sacrificing the sustain that Warflag or Sentinel's Gift would offer you, so you really actually lose out a lot of your early game because you're not necessarily going to have the sustain you need. You don't have any kind of way of healing. So if you're building Gilded Arrow, and this also applies to Tainted Steel, if you're building Tainted Steel or Gilded Arrow as your starter items, you need meditation. It's just how that goes. Also, the fact that... Oops, that's actually mine. I keep forgetting this. The fact that she built Gilded Arrow as well does kind of veer you away from that, because you don't want to steal her enhancement. Notice I did not actually take that. I was very close. I accidentally took the small one. Which was a mistake on my part, but that's okay. Yeah, we're a little late on that because I took too long to pick up my buff there. They have a Khepri here, which is interesting. That could spell trouble for Freya. She's got a pretty rough time with Khepri because she can't get out of his grasp as well. Besides the fact she's a bit of a later game ADC in the first place. So we're going to just play this one a little slow here. I'm just trying to scare Artemis off a little bit here, so that way Freya could safely farm. Again, I'm just trying to keep them off of Freya. My real goal right now isn't really to do damage. There we go. I accidentally saw that menu, but that's okay.
Enemy spotted. Be careful.
We're just going to play this one patiently. I'm going to use the Warflag to heal her up. I'm going to try to save meditation as much as possible. Keep an eye on Khepri here. No, I know exactly what you're going to do. I've been Khepri before. This is a problem. We can heal up. This will heal both of us. Let's put us back where we need to be. He took some good damage out of that. Does he have meditation? He should. He does. Okay, but he didn't upgrade it, which is interesting. What did he go for? Okay. Just didn't. He went with potions instead. Interesting, but okay. They're gonna probably come after me pretty soon. I'm going to need the wall, because I can wall off... shoot. That was... Okay. Nope. That's unfortunate, that's unfortunate. Got my wall just a second too late.
Enemy missing. Be careful right. Enemy missing left.
Kepri's probably headed towards...
Yes.
Yeah, I think she did beads. We're just gonna try to last as long as we can over here. I can't really stop them from taking that, which is fine. Freya's farming the jungle, so I can actually go back really quick and grab this. Grab some wards. And then I'm going to grab some health potions. And off we go. And she should arrive in time to defend the tower. Yep, okay. That'll put her back on par with... Well, not quite back on par with where she needs to be, but it will help put her towards level 4. Which is where she wants to be at this point. Bastet really needs to gank left lane over here. She's not going to, though.
Ymir plays forward. Now stop complaining.
Good trap, good trap. No, don't go this way. Are you insane? No! I can't believe that worked. We want to fight this?
Set up an ambush here.
No, he's leaving. He is out of here.
Enemy missing.
You are in a really bad position here, Kepri. The reason why he's in a bad position is mostly the minions. Look at that. That was absolutely fantastic. Now, that was more luck on the fact that Freya didn't die somehow. The wall that I threw up was pretty good overall. Notice that when Artemis activated her ult, I had to duck behind the wall so I wouldn't attract the attention of the boar, the pig, the bacon. The reason why is because if he had hit me, if the bacon had hit me, it would have gone to Freya and killed her at that level of health that she had, which obviously was not what we wanted here. So, overall, I'm really happy with my performance in that fight. That was pretty good. I don't know why I'm there. I didn't realize this is up so fast already. Whoops. No, back up. Let me tank this. You don't need to be tanking this. You need to be going back. What the heck? I'll cover this. That's fine. Oh, she's at the, I know where she is. She's at the Harpy. There she goes. You are just seriously letting me hit you? Okay, I was not expecting that at all. I did way more damage than I reasonably should have to her. She just absolutely let me wallop her for some unholy reason. I don't know what that was about. If she comes back forward, I can kill her. No, she's not going to come back forward. Alright. I was going to say, I could kill her with my ult. Again, now that it's okay-ish for supports to build damage depending on the context, you can actually turn level ups around. Obviously, you still really shouldn't be prioritizing trying to get kills because, you know, you're trying to save your allies. They still can put that to better use than you can. That's never going to change. But if you accidentally steal a kill from an ally while supporting, it's not quite as bad as it used to be, because now, with the current meta being the way it is, and damage dealers being so much easier to kill now, it's actually okay to build 1, maybe 2 damage items. It really depends. That's a shame. Yeah, I kind of figured. I don't really know what Zeus is expecting here, but... Okay, yeah, I just whiffed that. We are going to block. Oh, we're not going to do anything of the kind to you.
Enemy ultimate down.
I'm going to just heal you up real quick. And also get my mana back. Okay. Gonna go ahead and start up on this. Thank you, Zeus. Drop this for Freya. There we go. She's got very little mana. And she presses. Alright.
Gank middle lane.
On my way. Enemy ultimate down.
I don't want to steal that kill. I could have.
Enemy spotted.
I did not want to. I, at this point, can finally, I think, rotate to, I'll take this first with her. But I think I can finally rotate to mid now, which I've been needing to do for a while, but there's been so much going on in left lane that it just wasn't feasible. I'm on my way. Yeah, you got him, you got him.
Me later.
There's Keprian left for some unholy reason. He's late to that party. Alright, I might as well head left then.
Your right tower is under attack.
I'm not sure why Kepri bothered coming back over there. What we're gonna do is just go on ahead and at least whack this wave here. Janus is still dead, so it's pretty safe. That'll free Zeus up for some rotations. Alright. Now we're going to go back, and we're going to start working on Sovereignty. Now, the reason why I'm working on Sovereignty and Gauntlet of Thebes is because a small amount of protections can make a big difference. Considering they have a predominance of physical, getting both of these auras will really help out
Right lane.
in keeping my allies alive, because it's very unusual for people to build high amounts of penetration anymore. I don't know what happened. It's all about raw damage rather than penetration, and it really doesn't make sense if you understand how penetration works. I just wanted to freeze her in that just to make sure. I'll help clear this wave really quick because. Oh wait, no, Kepri's way over and right.
On my way.
Hello? Wait a minute.
On my way.
I don't know why Gilgamesh is here. He just used most of his kit on me. Oh, that was a good wall. Did I get him? I did. What happened here? What? Oh, no. That was an ult. Back up, Janus. Ha. I'm gonna take care of this wave for you, so that way, you know, you're not being harassed by minions the whole time.
Enemy missing.
Alright, that's good, that's good. So far, so good. Excellent. Increase the wall. In Slash and in Conquest, usually you want to increase your wall as your second ability, because that can be absolutely devastating in a team fight. As you've seen, I've been able to use that to a lot of great effect to keep enemies locked down. You've seen it in previous episodes. It's disgusting. Get slapped, fool! Can we take this? No, we cannot take this. I'm going to die if I try that. It was worth a shot, but I clearly am not tanky enough to do that yet. I'm going to go gank left lane over here because Artemis is way too far up, and I'm decently confident in Freya's ability to slap her down if I can just... Ooh, hello. That was not quite what I was expecting, to be honest. Good trap, good trap. Gonna press this? You are.
On my way.
We winning because Ymir worthy.
Retreat.
Yeah, don't worry about it, don't worry about it.
No.
Gonna press this?
Ymir not done yet.
Middle.
I noticed. Oh no, Freya's not behind me. Hello. Ooh. Haha. It was badly telegraphed, though, Giannis, my guy.
For Ymir.
No offense. I'm just gonna chill here. They surrendered. Alright. You know, I'll just do a follow-up episode. Because at the very least I can cover the early game with this. And I can at least talk a bit more about the early game. Now, again, aggression is pretty king. You just have to time it right. Now, Artemis has a better early game than Freya does. That's a well-established fact. You know, it's just the way it is. The Freya did make the correct move, though, of building Gilded Arrow. That's pretty much a requirement for Magic ADCs at this point, because, again, if you don't know, mages, regardless of what role they're playing, or regardless of which mage you pick, they only get 20% of their magic power contributing to their auto attacks. So the Gilded Arrow, especially right off the bat, is going to add more basic attack damage, as it says here, than any item in the game is really going to, honestly. Except possibly Book of Thoth fully stacked. But again, that takes time, and Gilded Arrow is a much cheaper and instant way of increasing your basic attack damage by 25. Right? So this is actually pretty much pivotal for any ADC mage play. So that was a really great move, which is also why she built that. And typically, if you see that you have a magic ADC, assume they will build this and do not build this yourself as Ymir. Again, as I stated at the start of the match, if your ADC is building Gilded Arrow, you do not build Gilded Arrow on top of that, because that makes it very difficult for you to ensure that your ADC is getting their credit and you're getting yours. Alright? Now, as the Artemis demonstrates, not many physical ADCs build Gilded Arrow. They're usually going to build Death's Toll, or they're going to build the other one, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. Leather Hood, I believe, is currently another one of the popular ones. They don't often build Gilded Arrow. I still see some people build it occasionally, but it's a guaranteed, well, it should be a guaranteed pick on any mage ADC. So again, if you have a mage ADC, don't build this. Now, this really came in handy. You'll notice Zeus, when he was slapping Gilgamesh, he hit Gilgamesh that often because of War Flag. We just picked up some minion assists from the minions dying in the background. I was boosting his attack speed. It was a glorious thing. Furthermore, the War Flag, I actually didn't mention this at the time because I was focusing on other things, I was talking about other things, but War Flag also offered a really huge benefit, an additional benefit to Zeus and Freya. See, neither Zeus nor Freya has a consistent escape. Freya does have her ult, which she can fly out of ugly situations from, but she moves at roughly the same speed, so it's not really that effective as an escape. It's more of a last-ditch effort to try to take someone with you more often than not. So the War Flag's movement speed boost really helps Zeus and Freya out because they have no way of either escaping from or keeping up with their enemies, and War Flag can really make that a lot more effective. I was eventually going to build Talisman of Energy, which would have built on this idea. Right? But that's another reason why I built War Flag. I just forgot to mention it earlier. Again, right now, building as a support is a bit odd. Gauntlet of Thebes, or at least the first stage of Gauntlet of Thebes, is the #1 top pick for several reasons. There is multiple reasons why Gauntlet of Thebes is often the first thing you will build now, in pretty much any situation. 1. Its first stage costs only 600 gold, allowing you to purchase a Stage 2 Relic if you need, and I picked up the Stage 2 Greater Cloak of Meditation. This was really nice. I could have built Blink as well, but considering Artemis and Khepri, that was highly risky. You see, Khepri is extremely good at counter-initiation, and I really didn't want to blink into that, because if I blinked into that and Freya wasn't right there, literally, I was going to get abducted by Khepri and killed by Artemis, because Artemis could have put a trap down. That was actually probably why they chose these two. They were probably going to try to combo, because the Khepri-Artemis combo here, if you haven't figured this out yet, which is fine, it depends on how familiar you are with the two, is Khepri abducts somebody and Artemis puts a trap down right underneath them as they're being abducted, so when the abduct ends, they are now trapped, right? That is the combo. That is what they were going for. So blinking into that was going to be just asking to be comboed, which was a terrible idea for fairly obvious reasons. So Blink was a really bad choice here. Now keep in mind that I didn't build Blink not because of my allies' needs, but because of the enemy composition. Your relics, interestingly enough, are the only part of your build that you decide on based on the enemy purely. Beforehand, previous to this, your relics in the previous season, relics were decided upon by what you believed your team needed as a support. While this is still true of your regular items, you still want to build the best you can to help your allies. This is no longer true of the relics. You are going to build the relics that will best respond to the enemy. In this case, because Blink was a terrible choice, Greater Meditation was the move. My next move probably would have been possibly Sprint. Shell would have been really good as well to help maybe against Kali, preventing her from getting a heal off of her target. That could have been really potent. An abducted victim could have been shelled and saved that way from the combo if they got into a combo. I could utilize that to at least protect against the damage from Gilgamesh. You know, you've got a couple of different things going on here, but Shell would have been a really strong pickup, and I probably would have picked that up afterwards. Another really strong one I actually just realized is Horrific Curse. Gilgamesh, Kali, and Artemis all rely very heavily on attack speed, and Artemis, very specifically, has no escape. So using using Horrific Emblem, or Horrific Curse, I can't remember what it's called anymore right now, to reduce their move and attack speed would have been really devastating to the enemy team, so that probably would have been something I would have considered picking up. I would have picked up one of the two. It would have just been a matter of which one. But again, you'll notice that I'm picking that based on the enemy team, not my own. Okay? So that has changed for supports. And for Ymir, that's something that's not going to change at all. You're still going to build your relics according to what the team comp is. If they didn't have the Khepri Artemis combo, I would have maybe given the Blink a bit more consideration. If you're building Gilded Arrow, like I said, again, you need Cloak of Meditation, right? But building Gauntlet of Thebes, going back to Gauntlet of Thebes, because I kind of got sidetracked there and I apologize. Gauntlet of Thebes, no matter what the enemy composition consists of, gives you health, both protections, HP 5, and it gives your allies 10 extra protections. So you get 60 total of each protection, you get health, and you get nice HP 5, right? No matter what the enemy team composition is, this is good. And again, like I stated before, because the gem is only 600 gold, you can pick up a level 2 Relic if you want. That's up to you and your personal preference. The Khepri built potions, I built stage 2 meditation. It just depends on how you want to look at it. My next move was going to be Sovereignty, again because they had 3 physicals. It would have again helped against Kali. A lot of people really sleep on Sovereignty and Heartward Amulet. They really do in the current meta. And that's because there's this weird perception that protections aren't as useful now as they were in the last season. And that's not exactly true. It's just that how people have preferred to build now is different. How hunters build now is much different. Hunters don't build as much penetration this season, I've noticed, as they did last season. They build a lot of crit, so Spectral Armor is almost a necessity in most games, to be completely honest. Pretty much, I would say a good 80%-ish, between 80 and 85% of my games, the Hunters have not really built that much in the way of penetration. I'm talking no dominance or whatever it's called. I'm talking no Executioner, none of that, which is very odd to me. They're all building crit. I don't mind building crit. You can build crit, you can do really well with crit. But you can still build penetration in a crit build. You only need 2, possibly 3 crit items nowadays. The problem with this, ultimately, is that ADCs aren't really doing one of their primary jobs anymore, which is eliminating the enemy front line, which would be me, and towers. because now they're building, like, really heavy on the crit, and they're not really building enough penetration. All you have to do, and again, you'll find that you'll commonly be building this, is build spectral armor, right? Now, in this particular composition, against this comp, I might have splashed in an additional Witchblade. My magic protection item would have very likely have been Pestilence. Gilgamesh self-heals, Kali self-heals. Artemis was very obviously building heavy amounts of lifesteal. She was going to go for a crit build. This was going to be Atlantis Bow, I almost guarantee you, which was going to give her more lifesteal. It was going to give her crit chance. She was probably going to build Deathbringer afterwards, and then she was going to finish up with probably Wind Devil, if I had to take a guess. Deathbringer, Wind Devil. She would have had one more slot. This probably would have been... Oh, heavens, it could have been pretty much anything. She might have actually built Dominance or Executioner at this point, but that would have been too late at that point. She was behind. I was getting pretty beefy. I was level 10. I was one level down from her. So that would have been too late. Just pointing that out. But possibly she could have built that there. And, you know, I would have had Sovereignty, Pestilence, Spectral Armor, and probably Witchblade. Again, Witchblade would have been a response very specifically to the Gilgamesh, Kali, and Artemis setups here. Now, I could also have potentially built Shogun's Kusari. That would have been a perfectly fine build as well. But why would I only build one magic protection item? There are two reasons that I was intending to only build Pestilence as my magic protection item, right? First off, consider that this is 109 magic protection here, is including the aura from Gauntlet of Thebes, and it is including the War Flag's 10 protections here. Alright, so that's 109 magic protections right there. With Pestilence, I would have gotten to 189. Once I'd finished up Sovereignty, that would have been, let me see, Sovereignty gives you, what, 50, I think, physical protections? I can't remember off the top of my head what the aura is, but I would have been over 200 physical protections, but just under 200 magic protections. Why? Because Janos is the only actual source of magic damage in their team composition, and this is important because if you just get him killed, or if the assassin does their job and kills him, you're not really needing magic protections, because Khepri isn't going to be building magic protections. Now, against a more damaging support, say Xingshan, Cthulhu, Cerberus, maybe I would have wanted to build some more magic protections. Shogun's Kusari would have been much stronger there, but Khepri does not hit hard at all. He's very much a wet noodle. Janus was the only source of actually acknowledgeable magic damage, so again, if Bastet was doing her job, and she very clearly was, she went 6, 1, and 2, I wasn't going to need that much magic protections, so why not combine it with my anti-heal, right? And again, this is a response very specifically to the enemy's build, the enemy's composition, right? This is actually one of the few things that you're actually going to consider when, well, you always are going to want to consider the enemy when you build your build as a support, but what it comes down to is, okay, how much of a given damage type can they bring to bear on me? In this case, Janos was the only serious source of magic damage, so as long as we prioritized him in teamfights, and he died early on in the teamfights, I wasn't going to need to worry about that, and I could focus more heavily on things, the other things that my team needed. The physical protection boost from Sovereignty, the crit damage reduction so I could survive Artemis, and probably Kali, because she built Atalanta's bow as well. And then I could have grabbed the Witchblade, which would have helped my allies. It would have reduced the amount of the attack speed of Gilgamesh and Kali and Artemis. Khepri and Janos don't auto-attack often enough for that to matter, so that's whatever. But that's why I was going to go with that direction. So pay attention to what the team composition is, and ask yourself, how much magic and physical damage are they throwing at me? Right? Now, yes, Gilgamesh had the infamous Pridwin, which is better in this season than it was in the last one. I hated it in the previous season. I think it was over-purchased in the last season, but it's actually decent here in this season, and I really can understand why people would build this. And yes, this offers magic damage, but it's not that much magic damage. It's once every 45 seconds, so once a team fight, and it's very easy to just avoid it, because that triggers on his when his ult finishes. So as long as he dies before then, it's fine. And again, it's not significant enough magic damage to worry about. So that's where I was going to go with my build. That's where this all went, was going the way it was. Now it's interesting where I'm pretty sure Khepri was trying to build an early Pestilence, which is fine, which is very understandable considering Freya and Ratatoskir, but I don't think Freya and Ratatoskir alone were enough to justify such an early Pestilence. Yes, Freya has passive lifesteal, and she had the Ring of Hecate, I think that is? Yes. That's, all well and good. Yes, I was healing people around me with War Flag to small amounts. I mean, 15 health is nice, but it's not exactly team fight changing, assuming we're even team fighting in a lane in the first place. Which is where most of those stacks are going to come from, by the way. So that wasn't really going to help out a ton in team fights, and I think overall, such an early Pestilence, because of the limited amount of self-healing we had, was really not going to do Khepri enough good, and I think that was part of the problem. Again, also keep in mind that Freya is a magic ADC, and that's, Khepri was very obviously popping back and forth between the duo and the mid lanes for the most part, which makes some sense, but overall, he still probably should have been going for... Well, no, he could have been going for Heart Ward, because I actually do have the kinds of damage output that he would want to respect as a support. No, actually, having looked at our team composition, from his point of view, I can understand this. He probably wasn't building Pestilence, he was probably building Heart Ward Amulet. He was probably building stupid Amulet of the Stronghold, which is trash, and I've got the maths to prove it. But that's a story for another day. He was probably going for a Heart Ward Amulet, actually. I'll take back my past 2 minutes of ranting. Which was a good pickup for what he was facing, which was Zeus, Freya, and myself. That's actually a smart move. The only real problem here is that Khepri has the... This is not a good meta for Khepri. Because supports doing at least some small amount of damage has become a little bit important. And between War Flag and Ymir's passive, Ymir can actually do a decent bit of damage, as you noticed when I slowed down Artemis and I was just whacking her as she was trying to run to tower. I did decent amounts of damage there. Yes, it was early game, but my damage output was only going to get higher, and the only thing that was going to increase on Artemis was going to be her health, because she wasn't likely to build protections. And magic protections do not increase by that much level by level. So I was going to just be doing even more slapping, and Artemis was just not going to be able to do anything about it, apparently, because she didn't care. But it has become more important for supports to bring at least some damage to the fray. Now again, even with that considered, you'll notice that I refrained from finishing off Artemis twice so other people could pick up the kill. I think maybe even 3 times, I'm not 100% sure. And again, while I could roll that into damage, that's not my job. And if I start switching from supporting for my team to trying to do damage for my team, when that's not what the role I'm playing is, that's going to throw everyone else off. It's going to leave Zeus and Freya, who don't have real escapes, very vulnerable to attack, which is not what you want, and they are always going to be able to do more damage than you just by dint of their kits being set up specifically to do damage, and Ymir's is not. So, just things to keep in mind. The reason why I'm going to be doing another episode of this is, before, I close out this episode, I want to actually state why I'm going to be doing a follow-up Conquest episode of Ymir, besides just that we surrendered here. I was talking a bit more generally about supports than I feel that a Ymir video should, considering, I wasn't talking about Ymir specifically as much. Yes, there were some Ymir specifics, but generally I was speaking about supports in general, because I had not fully addressed that from a standpoint of now that I've played the season, I know what I'm talking about. My initial thoughts on Season 9 was before I'd really played a lot of games. I'd only played for 1 day at that point. So, these are my much more experienced and serious opinions on how to build as a support in the new season, and overall I like the changes. I like how it feels, I like how it plays, and I think this is one of the better seasons that I've seen in the past couple of years, so I'm pretty happy. But yeah, with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. If you like this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me, and have a great 24 hours.